Hey everybody, Cinema Sickness here with this week's Weekly Watched, where we take a look at all the titles I watched throughout the week, and I briefly discuss them. So let's take a look at everything I checked out. The first title I checked out this week was Easter Parade on beta. Yes, in this kind of ripped up, taken apart rental case. I hate this, but it was 25 cents. Had to pick it up. Anyway, so it's about time that I finally watched this movie for a few reasons. One, because I'm always saying, every time Easter comes around, I'm always saying, I gotta finally watch this movie. This is a movie I gotta watch this Easter. For some reason, I never watch it. And even this year coming out, 2014, I was like, this is gonna be the movie I finally watch this Easter. Gotta finally check this damn movie out. But, as you guys know, I just recently acquired a new beta player, and I got it working, everything seemed to be fine, but I really wanted to test it out. So I wanted to watch a movie all the way through to make sure everything was okay, and this is the one I chose. So, like I said, reason number one is because it's a movie I've been meaning to get to for a while now and just hadn't got around to it. But reason number two is because I'm a big fan of musicals. I love classic, like 30s, 40s, 50s musicals. I'm just a big fan of them. I'd have to say after horror, because horror is my all-time favorite genre movie, comes musicals, classic musicals anyway. Again, from like the 30s, 40s, 50s, some 60s, stuff like that. I can't get enough of these. And the reason being is for the exact reason why I really enjoyed this movie. This movie was absolutely fantastic. These movies just do a great job of taking a fantastic story and incorporating song and dance into it. It's genius. I can't imagine that it's a very easy thing to make a movie based around singing and dancing, but also with a really good plot. And they do such a fantastic job in movies like Easter Parade. This was absolutely just fantastic. Fred Astaire was just brilliant in this. Judy Garland, also fantastic. I mean, there's the great singers and dancers, just top notch right here. So if you're like me and you're a big fan of musicals, again, classic musicals anyway, this is one you have to check out, though I'm sure most of you have. I can't believe it's taken me so long to get around to watching this one, but like I said, for whatever reason, for years now, I've had a copy of this on like Laserdisc and whatnot. I've been wanting to watch this during Easter for many years now. I just, for some stupid reason, always just watch something else or just don't get around to watching it for some reason or another. So I know it wasn't Easter. I know I jumped the shark and got in this one way too early, but I don't care. Screw Easter. It was definitely time to sit down and finally check this movie out. Like I said, really needed to test my new beta player out, and what better movie to test it out than with a classic musical like Easter Parade. So this was fantastic. Like I said, if you like musicals and for some odd reason you're like me and you haven't got around to watching this one yet, check it out. You won't be disappointed. It's brilliant. Again, a fantastic story, great singing, great dancing, just great all around. The second title I checked out this week was Looper. Now, I went into this movie with very high expectations, since pretty much everything I've heard about this movie has just been phenomenal. Everybody's ranting and raving about how great of a film this was. So, like I said, went into it with very high expectations, and I was a little worried about that, because recently a lot of films I've been seeing that have gotten really good reviews, and everybody's been saying have been fantastic, I've watched and gone, yeah, they were okay, but I don't think it quite lived up to the hype. Well, thankfully, for once, I completely agree with all the hype and all the great reviews this movie's getting. It was fantastic. Just from start to finish, a hell of a lot of fun. You get really wrapped up in it. You want to see how it's going to end. You get so involved in all these characters and how they're intertwining with each other. Just absolutely fantastic. A great time travel movie, too. When it comes to time travel movies, they can be hit or miss for me, because sometimes they go a little overboard with them. This one I thought did a great job with it. I love the story. I love why they're time traveling. I love the story behind that. It's just absolutely fantastic. And I'm not going to go too much into this one because there is a bit of a twist. And I will say that it doesn't revolve around Joseph Gordon-Levitt's makeup. He's got prosthetics on. You're going to tell. Like, even when I looked at the cover, I was like, that looks nothing like him. And then as I'm watching the movie, I see he's, really done up in all these prosthetics. And I'm thinking, again, I did see reviews on this, but luckily nobody spoiled it for me. So, which I'm trying not to do for you guys. So I'm watching this movie, seeing all the prosthetics on. I'm thinking, what's up with that? Why is he so heavily done up in prosthetics that he doesn't really even look like himself? Well, then I found out. I was like, they did a really, really good job, except for the ears. You'll know what I'm talking about once you find out why he's wearing a prosthetics. Look at the ears. You're gonna notice that they basically forgot to do his ears when they did the prosthetics, which I was noticing that pretty much right away. It did throw me off a little bit, but regardless, they do a fantastic job with his makeup for the reason that they do it for. Again, I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but absolutely fantastic. I would definitely recommend check this one out. It's action, it's somewhat sci-fi, it's adventure, just a really, really good film, again, from start to finish. Yeah, if you want to get all technical with the film, there's certainly things that they kind of, there's more questions that are raised with the whole time travel thing. Like, well, how's this happen if they did that? And when they go back in time, when this change, a lot of things like that. But it's a time travel movie. I don't think I've ever seen a time travel movie where it hasn't raised more questions as I'm watching it. But it doesn't matter. Just put that aside, watch the movie, have fun with it, because it's great. Again, this movie gets really, really high reviews. Everybody has been just talking about how fantastic of a film this is, and I would completely agree with everybody. It was a great watch. The next title I checked out this week was The Heat. And unfortunately, unlike Looper that lived up to all the hype it was getting, The Heat, not so much. This is another movie I had heard pretty good things about. A lot of people were saying it was just extremely funny, extremely well done, comparing it to other comedies that I really enjoyed. But all in all, I'd have to say just mediocre. I wasn't blown away by this film. It had its funny moments. The story was okay. I did laugh plenty of times throughout this movie, but in the end, was I dying to rewatch it? Not so much. It was definitely one of those films where after I checked it out, I kind of just went, okay, I saw it. Just wasn't blown away. Wasn't dying to watch it for a second time. Just very, very mediocre. Best way to describe this film. I don't have much more to say about it than that. I pretty much just say, if you like modern day comedies, give it a watch. It had its funny moments. It was okay. But if you're not into modern day comedies, or if you're very picky with your comedies that are coming out nowadays, this is just one you probably want to stay away from. It just wasn't all that good. Very, very, very mediocre. So, again, I really don't have much more to say about it than that. Just The Heat, mediocre. You don't need to see it unless, again, you're really into modern day comedies. My wife, I gotta say, though, she actually really didn't like it. So, I don't know what that says. I don't want to say if you're a female, check it out. I don't know. My wife actually said it was very funny. She really enjoyed the film. Me, not so much. So take that for what it is. But The Heat, just mediocre. Then I checked out Jaws, which is a classic. I'm sure we've all seen this movie. It's considered one of the greatest horror films of all time for a reason. It's brilliant. Do I really need to go into this one? It's about a killer shark evading this community and having to destroy it. It's great from start to finish. It's a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant film. I don't think I need to go into it more than that. Again, I'm sure most of us have seen this. But the real reason why I wanted to check out this Blu-ray release here wasn't necessarily for the film. I've seen the film dozens of times. I've been watching it ever since I was a little kid. Been a big fan of it ever since I was a little kid. Again, it's just a great, great film. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's just fantastic. But the real reason why I wanted to watch this was for actually a special feature on here, which is actually a whole film they put on here. It's called The Shark is Still Working, The Impact and Legacy of Jaws, which again is a bonus feature on here, but it's actually a full-length documentary. It actually aired in, I think, select theaters and whatnot. Very, very good. It's worth picking this up alone just for that documentary. If you're a fan of Jaws, and you haven't seen that documentary, again, this is definitely worth picking up. I actually ended up paying $9.99 for this. And as you guys know, I usually don't pay more than $5 per title. So I paid twice what I would normally pay for this, just so I could have that documentary, because I've seen so many reviews on that documentary saying that it's just absolutely phenomenal. It's just ranting and raving about how great of a documentary it is. I'm a big fan of Jaws. I'm a big fan of documentaries, so I was dying to see it and said, the hell with it, I'm paying the $10. I gotta see that documentary. and it was just as fantastic as everybody says. Again, if you're a fan of Jaws, you need to see that documentary. But with that being said, this Blu-ray release, great. Jaws look fantastic in high definition. They did a really, really good job of restoring it. It looked beautiful, just crisp and clear with just enough grain to make it look like it was from when it came out. So just absolutely fantastic. I would definitely recommend picking up this release. And again, for at least for nothing more than the fact that it has, I'm going to forget the name, The Shark is Still Working. It's just such a great documentary and definitely worth checking out. Then on the 5th of November, of course, I had to watch what other than V for Vendetta. This is a movie I tend to watch every year on Guy Fawkes Day. And it's a fantastic film. And that's because this movie gets it right. And what I mean by that is, if you want to have a movie where a lot of people are going to really root for it and enjoy it, especially sort of the like subculture, sort of like anti-culture type of people who like to go against the system, this is the type of movie you have to make where somebody is going against the system and succeeds. And V here definitely succeeds in kind of bringing down this sort of Nazi kind of government that has taken over the UK in the future. It is fantastic. Again, from start to finish, just a lot of fun. The V character here, he's great. He's just a whole lot of fun to watch. He's just very sure of himself, but not in a cocky sort of way. I wouldn't say he's cocky at all, but he's not really afraid of things. He's very sure of himself. He knows he's going to succeed. He's not necessarily scared. I mean, he knows he might not succeed. He knows there's always a chance that he could fail, but he's pretty sure of himself that he's going to do what he wants. He's going to keep doing what he needs to do to overthrow the system, and he's going to die trying. He doesn't care. He has a mission. He's going for it. And again, that's why this movie is so much fun. It's somebody going against the system and succeeding. Unlike movies like Law Abiding Citizen, which is a guy going against the system and not succeeding, which is why that movie, nobody really talks about that movie anymore. I remember it came out, everybody was kind of like, oh, it's a great film. And then like a month later, nobody talked about Law Abiding Citizen anymore. But I guarantee you, had he gotten away at the end when he was going to, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've only seen the movie once, I think he was going to blow up like the City Hall in Philadelphia, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's how the end of that movie goes. I think he's going to blow everything up. Well, in V for Vendetta, he does blow up, I'm not from the UK, where Big Ben is, all that jazz. He ends up blowing it up. I was at Parliament or something like that. Anyway, blows it all up. Whereas in Law Abiding Citizen, he fails at what he wanted to do. So I think in Law Abiding Citizen, had he succeeded, that movie would probably be just as popular as V for Vendetta. You gotta have a movie where the guy you're rooting for succeeds. You want to see this guy overthrow this government or succeed in what he's going against. And sure enough, he does in this film. And it's just a hell of a lot of fun. Very well written. I've never read the comics, so I don't know how well of that adaptation it is. I don't know how well of a job they did at that, but it doesn't really bother me. I don't really read. I'm not a comic book guy, but I love movies, and I love this one. It's great. I would definitely recommend picking this one up and checking it out if you haven't, though I'm sure most of you have. And again, it's something you can watch every 5th of November on Guy Fawkes Day. The next title I checked out was Westworld, which is a movie I've wanted to see for some time now. Not so much based on reviews, as I haven't really read much in the way of reviews on this film, but due to the fact that this movie gets referenced a lot in TV shows and movies. And when a movie gets referenced a lot, I figure it's getting referenced for a reason. There must be a reason why everybody talks about this movie and puts little references here and there into their films and their TV shows. It must be good. And sure enough, it was. It's a hell of a lot of fun. In the future, there's this amusement park that has 3 worlds. There's a Westworld, there's like a Roman kind of gladiator sort of world, and there's a medieval world. And you pay $1,000 a night to go there. And there's these robots that can't hurt anybody, but they play out scenarios. Like there's gunfights in Westworld where the guy picks on you, calls you names and stuff, and you have a gunfight with them. And of course, you always win. You always blow him away. You're always a faster draw than he is, and even if he wasn't, he couldn't hurt you anyway. So a lot of things like that. You're having sex with robots. It's all like just this crazy town of robots where real humans who are paying $1,000 a night are interacting with them. Kind of an interesting idea, but of course, what goes wrong? The robots start kind of thinking for themselves and taking over and killing everybody off. It's a hell of a lot of fun. When we get to the climax where the robots go crazy, it's great to watch. It's just so much fun. So there's not really more to it than that. It's just a bunch of people in an amusement park with robots. Robots go crazy. Very, very basic plot, but very, very fun. Definitely a great movie. And now I really want to watch the sequel, which I believe is called Future World. Haven't seen that one. Really don't know anything about it, but I'm dying to see it now because if it's anything like this movie, it's going to be great. So I would definitely recommend this one. Again, very simple plot. I don't really have much to say about it. I just pretty much told you everything in a nutshell, but it's a great, great film. Definitely kind of like a horror thriller type movie. Definitely one to check out. Then the next title I watched, I can't hold up and show you because I saw this one in the theaters, and that was Freebirds, which I was pretty excited when I heard about this movie coming out, only because it's a Thanksgiving film, and there aren't a lot of Thanksgiving movies out there. I mean, off the top of my head, there's Dutch, Home for the Holidays, Trains, Planes, and Automobiles, and that's it. I can think of those three, and I can't even think of another Thanksgiving movie. I mean, I'm sure there's some out there, but off the top of my head, I really can't think of any movies that revolve around Thanksgiving or that are made for Thanksgiving. So when I heard about Freebirds, which being a movie about turkeys and Thanksgiving, I was pretty excited. I love the idea of a new Thanksgiving film. It's something else I can watch on Thanksgiving. And it was pretty good. I wouldn't say the movie was phenomenal. It wasn't great. It's not the best, CGI animated film I've seen. But it was still a lot of fun. It's about these turkeys who want to go back in time. They get this time machine. They go back in time to basically stop the first Thanksgiving. Stop turkeys from being eaten during the first Thanksgiving. And for basically stopping that tradition of turkeys being eaten on Thanksgiving to save millions and millions and millions of turkeys' lives all throughout the year. And I guess I'm not going to say they succeed. I mean, it's a children's movie. It's a movie for kids mostly. Of course they succeed, and they make it so that pizza is now what everybody eats on Thanksgiving. Pretty interesting. So I enjoyed the movie. It was a lot of fun watching these turkeys stopping the humans from eating other turkeys during Thanksgiving. It was very interesting. So again, not the best CGI animated film I've seen, but it still was fun. And I gotta be honest, I'm probably bumping it up a few notches, maybe giving it an extra star or something like that in my head, just because it is a Thanksgiving movie, and it's so refreshing to see a new Thanksgiving movie, as there just aren't that many out there. It seems like everybody makes a Halloween movie, and then right after Halloween, it's Christmas movies come out, and Thanksgiving just kind of gets skipped over. Nobody really cares about Thanksgiving movies. There just aren't a ton out there. There's just a handful of them. Like I said, with the exception of Freebirds, I can only think of like 3 other ones. So just not a lot out there. If you guys know of any, let me know. I might own some. I really don't know. But if you guys know of some other really good Thanksgiving related movies, let me know. Maybe I'll check them out. But again, Freebirds, it was fun. I wouldn't say it's a movie you have to see in the theaters. No, you don't have to. I mean, if you want to watch something for the Thanksgiving holiday, sure, go out and check it out. It was decent, but again, it's nothing you need to see in theaters. I would say this is one maybe like wait to rent, or hell, I would say you pick up just to add another Thanksgiving movie to your collection. It's always good to add another one of those movies to your collection. Like I said, it was pretty good. Nothing amazing, but still pretty good. Definitely worth watching. Some of the jokes fell a little flat. I felt some of the jokes were a bit forced, but besides that, it was a good movie. And I don't really have much more to say about than that. Again, turkeys trying to stop turkeys being at the first Thanksgiving to save millions of turkeys' lives all throughout the year, in the years in the future. So really cool. I'd recommend checking it out. But like I said, you don't necessarily need to see it in the theaters, but at least give it a rent. Or if you're like me, I would say pick it up. And finally, the last title I checked out this week was The Last Picture Show, which is a movie I've wanted to see ever since I first got this on Laserdisc, because I remember hearing a lot of good things about this movie. It's on a lot of like top 100 lists, and for a very good reason. This movie was excellent. Very, very well done. Very depressing. Gotta warn you about that. At the end of this movie, you're gonna be really depressed. This movie does not end very well. Everything sort of goes downhill. But regardless, very, very well done. Just an excellent film. Excellent cast, excellent story. Really all revolving around just this really small town in Texas. Just this little tiny town. Everybody's kind of involved with everybody else and mixed up in everybody else's business. And just how that all kind of goes down. Everybody's, you know, kind of going against each other and they're into themselves. And it's basically just how this small town sort of works, where I don't think everybody, watching this movie, I don't think everybody necessarily wants to kind of be a jerk to each other or hurt each other and whatnot. But I think it's just because it's such a small town, it kind of just ends up happening. I mean, you're going to be a jerk to somebody, you're going to hurt somebody, but since you're in such a small town, it's going to be people you're probably close to, because there's not a lot of other people to be a jerk to. There's not a lot of other people to hurt. You're going to hurt the ones and be a jerk to the people who are closest to you, just because you're in such a small community. And just fantastic. Now, I'm not going to go into the plot of this one, and it's not because I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, just because there's a lot going on. A lot of stories intertwining. You're going to notice this is one of those movies that kind of, it's like story, where, yeah, there's one big story being told, but there's a lot of other little stories, and a lot of other little things happening throughout the film that coincide in this one big story that's being told. And it's really interesting. So I would definitely recommend checking this one out. Again, it's on a lot of like top 100 lists, and for very, very good reasons. Just very well done. Like I said, the cast is phenomenal. The story is also phenomenal. Definitely a downer, but a hell of a lot of fun all at the same time, because it's such a great movie. So this is one I would definitely recommend checking out. If you're like me and you've waited a very long time to see this movie, well, don't wait anymore. Check this one out. So there you go. That's everything I checked out this week. Definitely watched a lot of great titles. Sure, some were better than others, but for the most part, I pretty much recommend them all to at least some extent. So that's it, guys. Like I always say, if you like this video, please give me a like. If you're not already subbed, please do. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for my next video. See ya.